I don't know if it's the number is $80 billion unfunded liability. I have no idea what it even means. I just know that there's a hole, big hole.
Yeah.
What do you think the appropriate, out of a $35 billion state budget, what do you think the appropriate number is? And again, the budget will be out. We're doing this literally a couple of days before, in March of 18. What do you think of that $35 billion the right number is of state dollars to the public employee pension fund?
Don't hold me to it, so I have to really look at where we are. But it's probably in the $3 billion range.
How much would that help, Ed?
It would help a lot, and here's why. For all of his failings, Governor Christie had agreed to a 7-year ramp-up of funding, abandoned that 2 years in.
But he did, in fact.
But he did, in
finish
fact.
The sentence.
Yeah, let me finish the sentence. He did, in fact, try to get back on track with a now new 10-year ramp-up. So we believe that if we continue on that 10-year ramp-up, we're going to get there, and the funds will not default. That the benefits promised to public employees across the state will be secured. And this is extremely important because it's not just about funding the pensions. The state Supreme Court, in numerous challenges regarding the state funding, has said, unfortunately, from our perspective, no, the state can get away with not necessarily meeting its obligation, but they cannot walk away from the promised benefit. So imagine if the funds were to go run dry. The state would be on the hook as a general operating expense for all of those pensions. And we can never get there.
Before we move to state funding in public schools, fully funding public schools, we've had some people on who said, you know what, we need to go back to the bargaining table with public employees and change the health care benefits that they get right now. We just can't afford it anymore. Could at a certain point, can't anymore, you say?
Bargaining is the key, but bargaining got completely upended when the state passed a law in 2011 mandating premium shares on public employees. Yeah, this happened in 2011. All public employees were suddenly required by statute to pay up to 35% of the cost of their health care. And that was completely apart from whatever was negotiated at the collective bargaining table. Now, the law has, quote, sunsetted. It doesn't mean that those premiums go back to where they were before.
Right.
It means that you can now bargain that benefit back. We would argue that some reset is needed in the law because what's happening is year over year, our members, public employees and other employment are taking home less pay year over year over year. We're starting to see that affect our schools.
Could we potentially lose really good teachers?
Absolutely. We already are. It's very typical, obviously, to see people who've worked their entire career, they reach retirement eligibility and start to look at that. People early in their career, there's attrition because they get a few years in, they say, this wasn't really for me. We're starting to see attrition at mid-career that we have never seen before.
Losing good teachers.
That is losing good, experienced educators.
A couple minutes left. Ed, give me another.